The Quantum of the Seas is a huge ship, and I'm going to give you some helpful hints, things about embarkation day, where to eat, the elevators, the smoking areas, the shows, and more. So watch my video and I hope you will learn some things to make your experience the best you can have. First, let's talk embarkation. If you chose an early boarding time, it is likely you will be on the ship before your cabin is ready. That's why I recommend that you check all of the bags you can possibly check and just carry maybe a backpack or a small carry-on with your documentation, your medications, and any valuables that you might have with you so that you're not hauling around all those bags. You will probably want to find something to eat. Now, I recommend that you go to the Windjammer Buffet. I used to have another recommendation, but I'll tell you why in a minute. The Windjammer Buffet is a beautiful area, lots of windows along the sides where you can look out at the view. And if you're among the first aboard, you won't have any trouble at all finding a seat in the Windjammer, going ahead and fixing a plate, enjoying some lunch, and then if you want to leave that table for someone else, you can, or if you want to just sit there and watch the view and people watch, you can. Another option, of course, is Sorrento's Pizza or the Cafe Promenade, both on the promenade deck. If you want to get a seat at one of those areas, you can get there early. You can eat, kind of graze a little bit there and do a lot of people watching on that deck. I used to always recommend the Solarium Bistro. If you're staying in the forward part of the ship, then the bistro is a good option because it's going to be right up there close to where your cabins are. More people have found that option than they used to. It used to be that very few people knew that was open on embarkation day and you could go up there and enjoy a very quiet, calm atmosphere. It doesn't open quite as early as the buffet does open. But if you're among some of those first to board and you want to go on ahead and on up to the bistro area, it's in the solarium. Children are not allowed in the solarium. They are allowed in the Solarium Bistro. So there is an entrance to it near the elevators, or if you are an adult party, you can be sitting in the solarium area, and then when it opens, you can go in. It's like a miniature Windjammer Buffet. If you're staying in a cabin that's close to the aft of the ship, you might choose to go to 270. And 270 is a venue that has some soups and sandwiches, and they also have specialty coffee in that spot. So it's another good option, especially if your cabin is located aft of the ship. There is some seating just outside of the cafe too, so it's another good place just to hang around and wait. Of course, if you don't want lunch, just find any of the public areas. There are so many of them on board, and take a seat, and when they call that your cabins are ready, then you'll be ready to go and move all your things in. Another thing to know is that your suitcases that you check will not be there as soon as you get in your cabin. Those hard-working crew members are delivering your bags, and there are a lot of people on this ship, so it's going to take a while to get a lot of bags to their cabins. You will sometimes see them all lined up in the hall before they take them in front of individual cabin doors, and you're free to go grab yours if you do see it in the hall, but it will eventually be brought right in front of your cabin if you want to wait. Also, if the weather is beautiful, you might want to just wait on the Lido deck near the pool. And if you have children, packing their swimwear in your carry-on bag would be a great way to keep them entertained until your cabin is ready too. The cruise compass. This is a valuable tool that you will want to consult frequently during your cruise. It is a list of all the activities going on board, when they're happening, the location that they're in, but it always has very helpful information on the front page with things that you may need to know during your cruise as well. And it is updated daily. You can find the cruise compass on your app, but they also make a paper copy. Now, to be a little more environmentally friendly, they're not just printing out a whole bunch of paper copies of the cruise compass anymore and delivering them. If you want a cruise compass, you may need to ask at guest services, or you can ask your cabin steward and they can leave one for you in your room every evening. Double check cruise compass and app because sometimes they may update one before they update the other, and the schedule is not always exactly in sync, so look at both to determine exactly what's going on your ship. The elevators. They can get very crowded on embarkation day and on debarkation day, and sometimes during the rest of the time, like right after a show lets out, things like that. Let me give you a couple of little hints about the elevator. You will have 4 elevators in a row, a little distance between one to the other. You might be standing in front of one and one on the other end opens up and you got to get down there to it. If you're kind of pacing yourself sort of midway between the elevators when you push that button to go up or down, look toward the top of the elevators because they light up. Green means the elevator's going up, and they light up red if they're going down. And this is a good way to sort of know if that's the elevator that you're needing. Also, on debarkation day, there are a lot of people trying to get into those elevators with all their bags. So if you have an early flight, get an elevator early to go down to a main deck so that you will not have to be fighting to see if you can find an elevator. Sometimes it's even good if you see an elevator going up and it's empty, get on it. You can ride it up to go back down. Every elevator bank has signage at the outside of the bank, so you can kind of look at that to see where it is that you're going if you don't remember what deck a certain venue is located on. And if you get on the elevator and you're thinking, oh no, where am I going? They also have signage at the very top above the doors that you can refer to get a quick glance as to where you are going. There are some venues only accessible using the forward elevators and some only accessible using the aft elevators. So if you need to go somewhere, say forward, but you are on an aft elevator, I recommend that you walk down the hallway to get on that forward elevator. That'll make it a lot easier for you in the long run. Smoking areas. If you are a smoker, you will want to know where the smoking areas are on the ship. You cannot smoke in your balcony and in many of the public areas. If you are not a smoker, but you're sensitive to smoke, you also may want to know where these smoking areas are. On deck 14, near the outdoor pool, the smoking area is on the port side of the ship. Port side is the left side as if you are facing forward on the ship. Port, left, both have 4 letters. That's how I remember it. On deck 5, on the promenade deck, that's the open area outside of the ship that kind of goes down the sides of the ship. There is a smoking area here on the starboard side. It does get pretty windy sometimes when you're sailing here, so if you want an outdoor area that's a little more protected, you'll want the Lido deck. The casino also has a designated smoking area. It is only for those who are actively playing in the casino. This is the only indoor area that's allowed for smokers, and that's only when the casino is open. The casino is generally open when you are out to sea, not on port days. Using the Wi-Fi. When you get on board, the cruise compass will have directions on how to use the Wi-Fi. To connect with your phone, I'm demonstrating with an iPhone because that's what I have, so an Android might look a little different. You will need to go onto the app. Go to Settings and turn on the Wi-Fi. You are looking for Wi-Fi Guest Quantum. Select it so that the check mark appears. Then the app will ask you if you want to access the paid internet. You can purchase an internet package here, or if you pre-purchased a Wi-Fi package online, you will sign in so that it all links up. Or if you don't have a Wi-Fi package, you can click Use Our App for free. You do not have to purchase a Wi-Fi package to use the app on board. Hopefully you've already downloaded the app. If you have not, the app symbol looks like this, and you should download it onto your phone. It will make life easier for check-in as well as everything else. But if you didn't, your phone will give you an option to download that app right while you're on the ship before you leave the port. So let's say you did purchase an unlimited Wi-Fi package. If you click on Access Internet, it will bring you to a sign-in page. The first time you see this page, you will need to enter your name, your birth, stateroom number, and create a username and a PIN that you can remember easily. The big thing to remember is that when you're on the ship, you need to have airplane mode turned on and access the ship's Wi-Fi. But if you're getting off in port, and if your cell plan covers Alaska, you can take it off of airplane mode and just use your data as normal with your cell phone. The big thing to remember then is when you get back on the ship, you need to turn it back into airplane mode. You don't want your phone to incur roaming charges. If you purchase a Wi-Fi package with a limited number of minutes, make sure you're logging into the internet package while you're using it and log out when you finish using that for your emails and such. Then log into the free Wi-Fi for using the app on board. That way you won't eat up all of your minutes in your limited package. If you're not sure how to log in, log out, the Internet Manager will help you with your specific phone or device. And if Internet Manager's not in, you can even ask guest services and they can help you as well. I usually purchase the unlimited Wi-Fi package for one device. This works very well for me because Royal will allow you to use one device at a time, and that's very nice. There are some cruise lines that make it strictly to the device you log in with, but right now you can do one device at a time. I would be logged in with my phone, but maybe I need to use my computer. So then I would log in with my computer and you'll get a message that asks you, do you want to disconnect other devices? You have too many logged in. You just say yes, and then you can log in with your new device. And I go back and forth with that. I also am able to share it with my husband that way because we don't have to be on the internet at the same time. He only uses just a few minutes a day to check emails. So it's not a big thing for him to have his own Wi-Fi package. So we are able to share that one device plan because we only have one device on at a time. Laundry. The Quantum of the Seas does not have any self-service laundromats on board. They do have laundry service that you can send out, and this is their price list for sending out items for laundry. However, they will offer a wash and fold service sometime during the cruise. Usually 2 or 3 days in, you'll get a laundry bag and a note that tells you you can put as much in this bag as you want of certain items. They take underwear, shorts, t-shirts, and socks, and you can fit it all in for one price. It was $34.99 for our sailing, and if you have a loyalty status, sometimes you get a discount on that laundry service as well. The laundry bag is paper, so you cannot overstuff it without it tearing, but I'm going to put this 8.5 by 11 piece of paper on top of the laundry bag so you can sort of get a size comparison. I'd say the bag is probably 12 by 15 inches flat. It does not expand out any, but you can get a lot in that bag. Entertainment. The Royal Quantum of the Seas has 2 large theater venues and several venues where you'll find live music scattered all around the ship. The theater shows in 270 is the venue in the very back of the ship, and they have a show called Starwater, and it is the only show on board that you have to make advance reservations for. Seating is limited, and good seating is even more limited. If you want to go to Starwater, I recommend you make those reservations on the app prior to your cruise. They usually open up a few weeks before, so check it about a month before, see if they've got openings in the entertainment section of your app or the entertainment section of the website, and just see if you can make a reservation for that show. Reservation doesn't give you a specific seat. Seating is still first come, first served, so you have to get there pretty early. I recommend these seats that are right there on floor level because the stage is kind of sunken, and if you don't get a good seat, you won't see everything that's going on. Perhaps even the balcony front row might be one of the best locations for a seat here. Let me give you a disclaimer. Starwater was not really my cup of tea. It has very talented singers. Some of the dance moves were really provocative, and some of the costuming left very little to the imagination, so I didn't really like that. I will say that the dancers were talented and the singers were talented, and if I had not been sitting where I would have had to climb over a bunch of people, I would have even slipped out. But that being said, I just wanted to kind of give you a warning in case you have the same opinion as I do. They will offer that show multiple times during the week, and if you don't make reservations, you can stand in line outside of the theater entrance, and at about 10 minutes prior to showtime, they will cancel out any reservations for no-shows, and all the seating that's remaining you can come in and take. Now, Royal Theater. In the Royal Theater, they have several shows. There are 2 major production shows with the on-cast royal singers and dancers, and they will have several artists that they bring in to do shows. There's almost always a comedian, a magician, and vocalists that will come in, sometimes a lecturer. And these are not contracted on a long-term basis for a specific ship, so you may or may not get the same ones that I get. I will also give you another disclaimer. Actually, there's a show called Sequins and Feathers. It's a Las Vegas review type show, and the program even says may not be appropriate for those under 14. Now, okay, I said Las Vegas review, so you can already imagine tall, slender, gorgeous girls with feather hats on and sequined costumes. Las Vegas showgirls dancing and kicking and wearing very little. And that's, I guess, why they give the disclaimer of not appropriate for under 14. So here's my question. Probably age 14 and under wouldn't think anything at all about that show. When you hit like 14 up to 18, 21, your hormones are just nuts. That's just, again, my little opinion. I did not appreciate the show. I think that kind of show is demeaning to women. So if you are of that same opinion, you can consider yourself advised. The Royal Singers and Dancers had another show called Sonic Odyssey. Now this show was labeled as appropriate for all ages, and it has the earth harp. And I saw this on America's Got Talent a few years ago. That is absolutely amazing to see that earth harp in action. There's also this giant drum wall. You have to see it to believe it. Very entertaining show. I will let you know that there are some dance scenes that have men that are shirtless and a few women that are not dressed quite as appropriately as I like, but this show was much better, a little higher class. In the theater also, just know that you want to read the description of the shows coming up in the theater for the other nights, the guest entertainers, to see if it's the style of music you like or the type of entertainment you like. They almost always have a comedian on board, and comedians, of course, are very subjective. Some are hilariously funny, some are irreverent and inappropriate. I kind of like to sit near an exit on an aisle when I go to a comedian show, because if they start using God's name in vain and start cussing, I don't want to have anything to do with it. I'm not sure why people think that's real funny, but I don't. So that's when I excuse myself from the show. But I want to be respectful of the audience that's around me and not interrupt their show. So I like to be able to slip out very carefully and quietly toward the back. Speaking of disrupting a show, if you're going to a show in the main theater, it's a good idea, even though there's no reservations, if you want to pick your seat, get there about 40 minutes ahead of time. You can pick pretty much any seat in the theater. If you get to 30 minutes ahead, it's starting to get a little more filled up on those premium aisle seats. Once you get to about 15 minutes ahead, then it really starts filling up. By 10 minutes, you're having to climb over a lot of people to get to the seats, because everybody always wants those outside edges, and the middle ones are the ones that are still open. So you're trying to get to your spot. Please don't come after the show starts. There are always many who do, and they climb over people after the show starts. Everybody behind them can't see what's going on. They're stepping on feet. Just get there earlier, don't go. Okay, I'm off my soapbox now. Back to more fact than opinion. I'm going to give you some information about debarkation that's pretty important, but before I do that, let me ask you to subscribe to my channel. If you find my information to be helpful at all, this will help me if you just click that subscribe button. Then YouTube will pay me for what I do, because you get everything for free. So that's one way you can kind of pay back, is by subscribing to the channel, liking the video. Sometime during the cruise, you will get a notice that you need to reconfirm your debarkation plans. If you have booked a flight and you have Royal Caribbean transfers, they want to make sure that they know what your flight times are so that you get to the airport when you are supposed to. When you book those transfers, Keep in mind that they will not take you if you have an early flight because they want to make sure you have the time to actually make it to the airport. So it's a good idea if you've not yet booked your flights that you check with Royal's policy on what time your flight can be if you want to use a Royal Caribbean transfer. If you are having other plans, maybe staying at a hotel, having someone else pick you up, or taking a taxi around town, you're not leaving necessarily that day, you are not going to be in a huge rush to get off the ship. And that helps them to know too, so they can stagger out all the debarkation times. If you have booked an early flight and you're just taking a risk that you're going to make it to the airport and get everything done, take a taxi yourself, you will want to sign up for self-assist, which means you are going to take all of your luggage off of the ship with you. Normally, you don't do that. Normally, you put your bags out in the hallway and they give you numbered colored luggage tags for your bags. And then the crew takes them down to the terminal for you on debarkation day. And this really eases congestion in the hallway, all those people trying to get on the elevator with all their bags. Just makes it easier in the long run for the debarkation process. So let's say they give you a tag that says you are pink number 2. So when they start calling luggage tags, they'll call the color, then they'll call the numbers that go with the color. When they get to yours, that's when you can leave the ship, and you'll go down to the terminal and they'll have a big sign in an area that says pink 2, and that's where your bags are. So there will be a smaller number of bags. It's not like a free-for-all with all those thousands of bags in there for you to look through and find. You'll find yours in the section that matches your color luggage tags. It's pretty easy and streamlined process. But if you are sailing out of Seattle, they have the best service ever. The Port of Seattle offers a free service where they will check your bags to your airline for you. You put them out in the hall the night before, and they'll give you a special luggage tag that is a port valet tag. You have to sign up for this in advance. It's best to do it online, and I'll put that link for the website here at the bottom of the screen. And if you sign up online, you can read all of their policies. It only is appropriate to certain airlines and certain cruise lines, and your flight has to depart after a certain time of the day. You have plenty of time if you're debarking late, and a lot of the flights, if you're flying very far from Seattle, will be a late evening flight. This is a great way that you can go ahead and give all your luggage to them, and it's checked at the airport, so that all you have to do is go through security with your carry-on bags and find a place to hang out at the airport until your flight, or perhaps even go downtown and bum around in Seattle for a little while. Pike's Market or some of the restaurants downtown, and then maybe even take the rail to get back to the airport. Our sailing was in Alaska, so watch for posts coming soon about those specific Alaska ports. This is Shirley with Shirley's Journeys, and I hope all of your journeys are pleasant ones.